is the 10th of Teves, one of the 4 fast days. We have Zecher L'Churban Habayis, corresponding to the destruction of the temple. So we'll go into that today and tomorrow, but today I'm going to focus more on a specific question, and not limited to Asara Teves, but applies to all fast days, and that is, let's say day 8 falls out on Asara Teves, day 8 of a bris milah, that is. There's a milah scheduled for Asara Teves or any other fast day. Do we go along with the milah, or since it's a fast day we say no bris today, we push it off tomorrow? So of course that's not really much of a question, because we all know, even if bris milah falls out on Shabbos, we have a circumcision. But the question, because there are different parts to the bris, we know there's the milah, priya, mitzvah, and then there's the bagel and lox. And therefore, since you can have the bagel and lox, people assume you can't have a bris on a fast day. However, we don't assume that's l'ikuva. You don't have to have the bagel and lox to do a bris milah, and therefore it's not an issue. We do a bris milah even on a fast day. Of course, like the old minig on Shabbos, when you had the wedding on Shabbos, you did the wedding on Friday, but you didn't eat the meal until Friday night. So too, you could have the bris and then have the Suda on the night after the fast. So either way, of course there'll be a bris. If there's a bris on Asara Teves or any other fast, even Yom Kippur for that matter, you have a bris. You never push off a bris, a milah bizmana. A milah shelo bizmana is a separate discussion, but a milah bizmana we never push off. Anytime there's a healthy baby, day 8, we do it. If there's an issue of jaundice or bilirubin or other things, of course, you push it off until the first day the baby's healthy. No, the Yehuda was very against people who, once they had pushed off a bris, they pushed it off to a convenient time, i.e. to a Sunday, where they figure they get more people, or i.e. Erev Pesach, when they were making a siyum. People were fasting, the firstborns fast on Erev Pesach, so to avoid fasting, they would do a bris milah in order to have a sudas mitzvah. So that's why if the baby's healthy, we have a milah bizmana. When is there a case of a healthy baby but we don't do a milah bizmana? A healthy day 8 baby, but we won't do it day 8 if it's Shabbos.
No,
Yom
Kippur? Not Yom Kippur.
Yom Kippur we do it. A healthy day 8 baby.
Cesarean section.
That's what we're looking for. A C-section. Why do we discriminate against C-section babies? Because the Gemara learns out from the Psukim in Parashas Tazria, Isha ki Tazria v'yalda zach, when a woman conceives, gives birth, and has a baby boy, B'tama shivas yomim, and she becomes tameh after the child for 7 days. Uvayom hashmini yimo b'sara lasso. So the Gemara makes a juxtaposition based on the psukim that the only type of milah which is on day 8 is a milah where a woman becomes tameh leda. In theory, a C-section baby, the baby doesn't come out from that area, it comes out from the womb, and therefore there is no tumas. Practically speaking, there is today for other reasons, but fundamentally, and therefore only a baby. In fact, that's a Gemara in Shabbos, a machlokas in the Gemara on when do you have this drasha, whether a C-section baby is day 1 because there's no reason to wait. Why do we wait to day 8? Because how is it everyone's besimcha, and a husband and wife can't even be together, so we wait to day 8? Or do you say no? It's Doros Rishonim Yochichol, even though there was no tuma, and yet we waited to day 8. So we conclude it's a sveika dedina. We don't conclude. It's a suffix in halacha how we paskin. So during the week, if a C-section baby is born on Tuesday, so you go with day 8 because mimanashach either way, either because if it's day 1 and you do it day 8, it still works. But if it's free advertising, but if it's day 8 and you do it day 1, it's a no-go. So therefore, we're strict, we go with day 8 because we cover our bases on a C-section baby. Because even if it's day 1, day 8 still works. But on Shabbos, let's say it is day 1, so it wouldn't be a milah bismana, so it's only a suffix milah bismana. By definition, every C-section baby is only a doubtful milah bismana. We don't know if it's day 8. If it's a doubt, it's no different than a baby born during twilight. It's a suffix shmini. We don't know if this is the day or tomorrow's the day or some other day. And therefore, we don't do a baby that's born twilight on Friday afternoon between sunset, after sunset, we don't do a bris milah. A C-section baby is no different. A separate share we're not going into now is what about with all these new modern concepts of women becoming pregnant, artificial insemination, in vitro. Would that affect the milah on Shabbos? That's a separate class, not for now. But we want to focus more on a milah on a fast day, since Asara Teves is coming up. So obviously the fact that it's a fast day, the fact that you can't have a meal and bagel and lox, we worked that out. You'll wait till after the fast to break your fast. But the issue is a borei pri hagafen. So even though, strictly speaking, the Gemara makes no mention of a borei pri hagafen, and if you don't have wine, one can do a bris. Nevertheless, the lichatchila, we try to do a bris milah over wine. So is there any solution when you do a bris milah on a fast in terms of the issue of the borei pri hagafen and drinking the wine? So we have this question coming up in a different context, and we'll see how it applies here. The Gemara tells us in Erevin that when on Yom Kippur, we all know we make a shechiyanu. On every Yantiv we make a shechiyanu, but the Gemara tries to get a lichatchila. We always try to make a shechiyanu on a kosher bracha, on a cup of wine. It gives it more credence to the shechiyanu or to the cup of wine, whichever way you want to view it. But we always try to make and that's why we make a shechiyanu at Kiddush, and that's why some even say women should not make a shechiyanu when they light candles, but they should wait to the husbands make Kiddush at the meal and be yotzei with the shechiyanu at the meal, Ryan.
What about second day Sukkot?
What about it?
We're supposed to make a shechiyanu both days. Second day we're supposed to do it on something different. Am I right?
No, you make you make a shechiyanu on. We always make the shechiyanu on Kiddush. What you're referring to is more second day Rosh Hashanah.
Oh, Rosh Hashanah.
In terms of
one or the other.
That the question, if we assume it's Yom HaRichter, we assume other things. So therefore, the question is, we try to have a new fruit or something new? But the bottom line, even if you didn't, you'd still make the shechiyanu. But the shechiyanu, the shechiyanu you're making over the Kiddush, you're just covering yourself by wearing a new suit or getting something new, that just in case it goes on now. But the bottom line, you are making the shechiyanu. Rav Yaakov Emden tried to get his wife to stop making Kiddush, stop making shechiyanu on Hadlakas Neiros and wait to Kiddush, but it didn't work. He figured if he couldn't convince his wife, no one else would listen to him, so he gave up on the issue. But the post can bring down really, because when you make shechiyanu, you automatically accept yantif. So therefore, you can't drive to shul afterwards. That's why one has to be careful. It comes up to Moses on Yom Kippur when people wait for the shechiyanu. You can't drive to. So if they're going to, either they should wait till they get to shul and make shechiyanu with everyone else, or walk to shul. But either way, so the Gemara tries to get a shechiyanu over a kosher bracha. But the Gemara says, what about Yom Kippur? So you have a little problem. How come we don't drink it? We don't eat and drink on Yom Kippur. So how could you make a shechiyanu? How could you do it over a kosher yayin? So the Gemara says, I have an idea. Make it over a kosher yayin and give it to a katan to drink. Make it over a cup of wine, and then you don't drink the wine, give it to a katan, a minor, to drink. So Gemara says, bad idea. It's not a good idea of chinuch. The child's going to grow up thinking, you know what I do on Yom Kippur? I do kol nidre, I daven ma'ariv, and then I go home and I have a cup of wine. So we don't think it's a good idea to train your child like that. So therefore we say no wine on Yom Kippur. So that's no wine on Yom Kippur. But Tosas asked, but what about there was a case where there was a wedding on Asara Teves, which some ask, can you get married on a fast? And according to Tosas, clearly you can, because he talks about getting married on Asara. What about the koshel bracha? What about the boy priya guffin you have at the wedding? Tosas asked, there's no problem. Give it to a katan. Give the wine to a katan. So the kasha is, how do we reconcile? When it comes to...
it's not an everyday event.
Very good. An annual event?
Annual event.
Right, it's one of the two distinctions, right. There's two reasons why it's different. Number one is, as Henry pointed out quite cogently, it's not an annual event. Having a wedding on Asara Teves is something which happens once in a while. In fact, it's pretty rare. So we're not worried that once every couple of years a wedding happens to fall out. The halls are so busy, the only date you can get is Asara Teves that you have to have. So we'll go with it, and then the katan's not going to remember. And in addition to that, Yom Kippur is kares. Eating and drinking on Yom Kippur is a very serious offense. Well, you don't have that same offense on Asara Teves or even Tisha B'Av. So therefore, number one is Yom Kippur is deraisa and kares. And plus the fact that it's not something that happens annually. Yom Kippur does, hence we say no. And in fact, you know where else the Shiloh comes up? When Tisha B'Av falls out on Shabbos. Or I should say when Tisha B'Av, when Tisha B'Av falls out on Shabbos, we push it off to Sunday. Or when Tisha B'Av falls out on Sunday, the question of making Havdalah Saturday night leading into Tisha B'Av. What is the issue with making a Bori Pri HaGafen? What do you do with Havdalah that night? There are different opinions in terms of everyone. There's no shy. Of course, you make Havdalah, but when you say Atachan and Tanu in the Shmoneh Esrei, you are making Havdalah. But there's no Havdalah al Hayayin. Well, it depends. So is there? So there are three shitas. One opinion is you give it to a katan to drink, because and then we don't paskin that way. We paskin. We wait till Sunday night for the Havdalah. There are other shitas that's it. There is no Havdalah ala kos, because like the original institution was, when we were afflicted with poverty, we only made Havdalah in the davening. We didn't make it over kos. And since, as the Ramban writes, every Jew is considered an ani on Tisha B'Av, we don't have a temple, hence on that week we do not make Havdalah al Yayin. We paskin, not that way. We paskin, we do make Havdalah al Yayin, but we wait till Sunday night. So again, the Rishonim suggest giving it to a katan, and there are those who paskin that we don't. So again, but why? But that's different than Yom Kippur. Number one, it's not the Raisa, and secondly, Tisha B'Av falling out on Sunday isn't an annual occurrence, and we don't have to worry that the katan is going to grow up thinking to drink wine to kick off Tisha B'Av. So either way, so therefore we try it by, so the question is, how far do you extend it? So some Rishonim say this idea of chinuch you never give to a katan. Anytime you can't drink for a cup of a koshel mitzvah, you can't give it to a katan either, because it's not good chinuch. That's what some Rishonim. The other Rishonim say no, it's limited to Yom Kippur because of an annual occurrence. But things that happen once in a while, like Tisha B'Av falling on Shabbos, or Asara Teves, or having a meal on Asara Teves, that we're not worried about. So let's get down to it. What about a meal on a fast day? So let's say, so we have to break it up to different fast days. There's the 4 fast days. This is what they call the Som HaRavi. What is the Som HaRavi? The Som of the 4th month. What's that? Yud Zayin Tammuz. Som HaChamishi is the Som of the 5th month, which is very good, Tisha B'Av. Som HaShavi, the fast of the 7th month, which is
Gedalia.
Som Gedalia, very good. And the Som HaSiri this Thursday,
Coming up to it.
the 10th of Teves is coincidence, the 10th month. It happens to be on the 10th day also, but that's not why it's called the Som HaSiri. So those 4 fast days, he says, Yelehem l'sasan u'simcha. So at least we'll leave Tisha B'Av out of the equation for a minute. That'll be a question. But let's say Asara b'Teves, Yud Zayin Tammuz, and Som Gedalia all have the same status. A Mila on those 3 fast days, what do you do with the wine? A Mila on Asara b'Teves, Yud Zayin Tammuz, Som Gedalia. How do we deal with the wine issue?
You assume you're done? Give it to a katan now? Or
I'm not assuming. I'm asking.
Okay.
I'm just here to I'm getting answers from you guys. I'm just raising the issues. So this is a machloket, the Machaba and the Ramah. A machloket, the Sephardim and the Ashkenaz. We had this issue. We had a little tricky issue because we have a Sephardi mohel, and it was an Ashkenaz person. But we went. I don't know if you remember the incident. It was Yud Zayin Tammuz who had a Mila on that day, and you remember? I think it was a couple of years ago. Last year or 2 years ago, we had a Mila on Yud Zayin Tammuz. Could you help me out? It was Rabbi Donnie Green's son and Tova.
Oh.
And we have Jason O'Hain is a Sephardi mohel.
Oh, yeah.
So there was a big issue. It wasn't a big issue. They probably didn't know there was an issue, but it goes like this. So the Sephardim go with those Rishonim that say you never give a katan wine on a fast day. Anytime you can't eat, they go with those Rishonim that wine on Yom Kippur is the rule, not the exception. That we learn out from there. It's never good chinuch, and you never give your child when you can't drink it yourself. You don't give it to your child. So the Sephardim would not give it. The Ramah, we go with the other opinion. It's limited to Yom Kippur. So from an Ashkenaz point of view, you'd give it to the katan to drink. The katan shegia lechinach, someone like Shimi, he would drink the wine because it has to be a katan that knows what's going on, or else it's a bracha levatala. So the minhag Ashkenaz is to give it to a katan shegia lechinach. So you give it to someone like Shimi to drink. But Sephardim say you don't give it to the katan ever. So who drinks it then?
Baby.
No one. You just don't have it.
No.
So the Sephardim say
No one.
you give it to Tova. You give it to the mother. I told her afterwards she's lucky she's not a Sephardi. She had to drink the wine that day. But the minhag of the Sephardi, you could give it to the mother. Why the mother? Why was she allowed to drink? Because
she's sick.
so we have a halacha that if a woman after childbirth,
30 days.
so relax, so she has the status of a chola sheyesh bo sakana. So strictly speaking, again, every woman's different, but strictly speaking on the books, the first 3 days she's a chola sheyesh bo sakana. She has the status of someone who's in life-threatening situation. From 3 to 7, we leave it up to mommy to decide, or the doctors, to get in cahoots with the rabbis. And in theory, on day 8, she's only a chola she'ein bo sakana. She still has the status of a chola, but not one that's in a life-threatening situation. So the lach is a chola she'ein bo sakana on Asara b'Teves, Yud Zayin Tammuz, and Som Gedalia is permitted to eat. In fact, maybe you have to eat. But you're a chola she'ein bo sakana, you're allowed to eat on those fast days. So according to Ashkenaz, we give it to the katan shegia lechinach, Shimi has to drink. But according to the Sephardim, you have to give it to Tova, you give it to the mother of the child, because you never give it. Terrible chinuch, the Sephardim say, to ever give your katan drinking when you can't drink. So that would be Yud Zayin Tammuz. Tisha B'Av, it seems to be a steer in the Mechaber. See, for us, we view Ashkenaz Tisha B'Av is no different. Tisha B'Av, it'd be the same thing. The child is, does Tisha B'Av have the status of Yom Kippur, or Tisha B'Av has the status of the other fast days? So it's a steer in the Mechaber, in what he says in Hilchos Tisha B'Av versus what he says in Hilchos Milos. Among the Sephardim, you have different opinions on what the Mechaber works, but we go with the same opinion as we do the Ashkenaz. We treat Tisha B'Av like the other fast days, not like Yom Kippur. and the katan shegia l'chinuch would drink the wine if there's a bris. What about Yom Kippur? What happens? If a milah happens on Yom Kippur, and it does, so who drinks the wine on Yom Kippur?
I would guess no one. We don't have to drink wine. It's not ma'akev.
But why would Yom Kippur be different?
No, the whole
It's derisa.
if the whole principle applies in general, then it would apply in Yom Kippur.
So what is derisa?
If you're calling actually ein bosaka.
That's what I'm looking for. So that's what Jeff's on the right track. So we said a woman, again, and practically speaking, a woman 2 weeks still might be a chola, but on the books, the way we're working, the first 7 days she's a chola sheyesh bo sakana. Day 8 and onward, all things being equal, the woman has the status of a chola she'ein bo sakana. So on the other fast days, which are only midrabanan, someone who's a chola she'ein bo sakana is permitted to eat. But on Yom Kippur, since it's deraisa and kares, only if you're in a life-threatening situation you're allowed to eat. So therefore you can't give it to the mommy. So what do?
Just skip the wine.
So the Svardim say, like Jeff, then there is no boy priya guffin then. You don't make a boy, if you have a bris milah on Yom Kippur and you have a Svardi community, you do have the bris but no wine. What do B'nai Ashkenaz say? The same?
I would guess so. I don't know what else.
You would guess incorrect, I might add. But what do? Is we have wine. We can't have a bris without wine. Who are you kidding? Without bagel and lox, we do a pakushi, but without wine, that's not on the table. So what do? Who do we give it to? We can't give it to the mother because she can't eat either. We don't.
Good.
We can't give it to the katan shegia l'chinuch. Even
for a bris milah.
Yeah, we can't give it to katan shegia l'chinuch. It's not good chinuch. So we give it to the katan hanimo. We give it to the child that's getting circumcised.
We just know what's going on.
Right, so we'll get to that, Kasha.
I said that in the first place.
Correct. We give it to the child who's being circumcised. We give him a little drop of wine. And so according to the Svardim, no wine on Yom Kippur. According to Ashkenaz, you give it to the katan hanimo. Isn't it a bracha of atola? How could you make a boy priya guffin and give it to a katan hanimo? He doesn't know what's going on. He sure feels like he knows what's going on. But so that's based on, Rav Salvation explains, based on the Gemara in Erevin. The Gemara tells us, "Hamavarech sarach sheyitom." And anytime you have a kosher bracha, there's a halacha you have to drink from the cup. So why would you have to drink from the cup? I would have said why. Why do you have to drink from the cup after a bracha? Because it'd be a bracha l'vatola. It'd be a blessing in vain. That's not what Rashi writes. Rashi tells us a new chiddush. He says, "Gnai l'kosho bracha." It'd be a disgrace to the kosho bracha. You make a kosho bracha and you don't drink from it. So we point out. So therefore they point out. So that's why you give it to. It's not a matter of a bracha l'vatola. And therefore to give it to a katan hanimo, that's enough to get away to the Ganai Shakosho bracha. So that's the issue when it comes to bris. When it comes to the 3 fast days, the Ashkenaz give it to the katan, the katan shegia l'chinuch. The Svardim give it to mami. Tisha B'Av's the shaila. Yom Kippur, the Svardim don't give it to anyone because you can't give it to mami. And the Ashkenaz give it to the katan hanimo.